This video is about empathy. I've talked about empathy before, but this is perhaps a slightly different perspective. Welcome everyone. My name is Hannah Magjarek and I'm a performance coach. I work with people, helping them overcome emotional barriers, enhance their emotional intelligence, and especially overcome procrastination. I am also a budding business psychologist and help companies and organizations develop and implement all sorts of people development interventions to help them to get the most out of the people and for the people to be happy at work. So there are 3 different types of empathy, and the empathy triad is emotional empathy, cognitive empathy, and empathic concern. So in reality, empathy is not necessarily about connecting to what someone's going through as much as to what they're feeling because of it. So if we are able to understand the person and understand how they feel and connect to that, it means that we don't necessarily experience the same overwhelm, the same suffering, the same paralysis that stops them from perhaps doing what they would like to do or finding solutions and sometimes even being able to think clearly. So let's start with cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy is particularly useful for leaders, and I will explain why. So it's about being with this person and in a way holding their hand. It requires curiosity. We must be asking ourselves those questions. Why they did what they did, what drove them to do it, and how they did it. And it's about being able to monitor our own feelings and give them our attention rather than focus on our own feelings. Because if we use emotional empathy, which is the second type, this one is actually important for effective mentoring, managing clients, and reading group dynamics. So it's about thinking fast without actually thinking that deeply. So it's that more intuitive empathy for reading our environment, not necessarily to support it, but to help ourselves navigate through it. So it's also worth nurturing in that sense. Emotional empathy springs actually from the old brain parts, so the amygdala, hypothalamus, the hippocampus. We literally feel someone's pain then. So it's about noticing what our body is reflecting about them and then trying to read their voice, their intonation, and perhaps some of the body language, because we need to be really careful when it comes to body language, as it can be sometimes confusing, it can be misinterpreted, many things mean different things. So it's easier, I think, to follow certain facial expressions, eye movements, or intonation and voice. When it comes to the empathic concern, that's something that makes us understand someone's needs, actually. So you want that from your doctor, you want that from your partner, and sometimes you would like that, I guess, from your boss perhaps as well. The trouble is that feeling empathic concern can be a bit of a burden to the person. So sometimes people burn out this way. This is what makes parents attune to the needs of the children. This one is tricky as it may trigger us and make us suffer. It can lead to compassion fatigue, for example, in helping professions. So it means that you become insensitive because you're protecting yourself. In leaders, it can cause anxiety and also feeling out of control. And on the other hand, if someone pushes themselves to deaden these feelings, it might kill their empathy overall, at least temporarily. So empathic concern needs to be trained, and it can be critical in moral judgments because this type of empathy is not necessarily the most moral one. Socially insensitive leaders, speaking of empathy, are quite easy to spot. We would have leaders who have a brilliant level of technical knowledge and experience, who end up, for example, bullying the staff, blaming others, then denying, icing others, punishing them, and they end up telling their employees that they're the problem. That social empathy that we want in a workplace is actually cognitive empathy. And this type of empathy can certainly be trained via emotional intelligence training and coaching. So if you've liked this video, please leave me a like or subscribe to my channel. Thank you.